Hello and welcome to Relatively Crafty, a knitting podcast. I am your host, Cristi. I come to you from the Denver area of Colorado, where I live with my husband and our two daughters, Tatum, who is 13, and Delaney, who is 9, and our tuxedo cat, Lilu, who is being very cute on the other side of the camera. You can find me on Ravelry as Cristi-Lael and on Instagram as Cristi-Lael without the dash. We also have a Relatively Crafty Podcast group on Ravelry where we have giveaways and knit-alongs and just chatter. Right now we are still running our Autumn Accoutrements KAL, which will go until December 22nd, which is the end of autumn and the beginning of winter. And you just are supposed to knit any kind of accessory, any kind of accoutrement. So it can be anything except for blankets, sweaters, socks, and like knitted toys. It needs to be something that you wear on your person as an accessory. And that goes until December 22nd. Please take the opportunity to use it to get some of those Christmas gifts done. And I'm really enjoying seeing what everybody is knitting. Also, we still have our Bijou Basin Ranch giveaway going on in the thread. That will go on at least until next week. I may keep it open 1 week longer because I'm not sure if I'm going to have the hat that I am knitting with that same yarn done in time. If you weren't here last week, then I am doing a yarn review for Bijou Basin Ranch, or Bijou Basin Ranch. I'm not sure how you pronounce that. I think it's Bijou. No, I think it's Bijou. It's the Bayou. Maybe it's Bijou. Anyway, let's go with Bijou. Bijou Basin Ranch. I'm doing a review of their yarn. They sent me a skein in exchange for an honest review. And so I am knitting the Treccia hat by Michelle Wong out of it. And they also sent me an extra skein to use as a giveaway, and so I have that open up in the Ravelry group. All you have to do is be a member of the group, be a subscriber to the podcast, and post a comment below not below here, but below post a comment in the thread on Ravelry about what you would make with the skein if you want it. So, that, as I said, I was going to keep that open until next week, but I think it might be open 1 week longer. Basically, what's going to happen is if I get the hat finished in time to podcast with you guys next week, then I will close the giveaway thread at that time. If not, it will be open for 1 more week. I still have 1 more week left, don't I? Let me make sure I have 1 more week before my parents come. Today is December 5th. Oy. Well, today is December 5th, and that means 2 weeks from today would be December 19th. However, my parents will be here, and so will my aunt and my uncle and my brother, and probably all the neighborhood kids as well. So what I will probably do is I will probably record on the 12th, next Tuesday, and then I will record again on maybe the 16th or the 17th, which would be Saturday or Sunday. Get in one little kind of mini podcast there before the holidays. I will be taking the 2 weeks that my parents are here off. They leave on they leave right after New Year's. And so I will probably podcast the day after they leave, maybe even the day they leave, because they leave in the morning. And so you won't get any podcast from me during those 2 weeks from the 18th until after New Year's, and then I will come back. It's just too hard to try to podcast when the house is filled with people. So anyway, let's go ahead and get into the knitting now that I've rambled on for 85 years. As usual, I will start with my FOs, and you may notice that I am wearing one. My So Faded sweater by Andrea Mowry is complete, and it fits perfectly, and I love it to death. I wore it today to go to my doctor's appointment, and I got compliments on it. My doctor always comments on the socks that I'm knitting in her office. And so the first thing she said to me when she walked in was, "Did you make your sweater?" And I said, "Yes." And she goes, "It's really good. I didn't know you made sweaters." I said, "Well, I don't make them as often as socks, but I still make them." So anyway, as I said before, this is the So Faded Sweater by Andrea Mowry. It is a fingering weight pullover, and I knit it completely out of Yarn Cafe Creations in her fluffy sock base. So the colors are, go over it one more time. This is Ocean Mist. The orange is pumpkin carving, and then that goes into Selkie, and that finishes off with Forest Nymph. And I had talked about doing a thumb sleeve with these, but I opted out. I'm really glad that I did. I kind of like them just like this. They go exactly to my the base of my hands, and some may call that a wrist, but it's the base of my hands. And it's just perfect. As I mentioned last week, I did do a little bit of flubbing with the sleeve decreases. I misread the pattern, and I did the sleeve decreases for the elbow length sleeves instead of the full length sleeves, and then kind of had to jerry rig it after that. But as you can see, the sleeves fit just fine. They're a little bit snug right here through the forearm, but it's not bad at all. They don't feel super tight, and you can see they're not super tight. And yeah, I had felt that it was a little bit short when I first finished the body, but as expected, when I washed it to block, being superwash wool, it kind of grew a little bit, and so it is a perfect length, and it fits so nicely. The one thing that I will say is that I do seem to have a little bit of extra material here underneath the arms, but it's not excessive. You can't really tell unless I have my arms out and I don't really walk around like this. So I will post a picture here of me wearing it. You can see the full sweater, and yeah, I'm really, really pleased with it. It took me just about a month exactly to knit. It was fun. Even though it is complete, stockinette, could be as boring as all get out, especially on, I think I used a 4. I think the pattern calls for a 5, but I got gauge on a 4. That's a US 4, and it's all plain stockinette, but the fading really kept my interest very well, and I just found it just very enjoyable to knit. So yeah, really, really loved it. So that is the only FO that I have. I do have a plethora of whips. One of the reasons I have so many is because I learned that the Lolo Did It KAL, that she's been, her Hippos for the Holidays KAL, the rules kind of got tweaked. The last time I had checked, you had until the end of December to knit Hippo for Thanksgiving, and then you had until the end of January to knit Hippo for Christmas and Hippo for New Year's. However, she decided that instead of doing Hippo for New Year's, she was going to do Hippo for Hanukkah, which is totally cool. And she was going to end the KAL December 31st. So I have to now knit 3 Hippo colorways into something by the end of the month. And I bought those colors, Hanukkah and Christmas, with the specific plan in mind to knit them into socks. So that means that this month I have to knit 5 pairs of socks. Now I've done that before. I've knit 5 pairs of socks without a problem. I think the most pairs I've made in 1 month this year has been 7. And so I know it can be done, but I do also know that that's going to it's going to kind of hamper my ability to knit other things. So I have not cast on my Comfort Fade Cardi. I need to get through some of these socks just for my own anxiety issues before I try to cast that on. So I'm going to go ahead and get into my whips, but I have five different sock whips. I'm just letting you know right now. But for my first whip, I'm going to show you my Treccia hat. Now this is the pattern by Michelle Wong, and I have not gotten very far, but I do have it started. I am not sure if you're going to see any of that detail. Let me see if I can get a close-up. So this is the Treccia hat by Michelle Wong, and as you can see, I've done the ribbing and a little bit of the cables. And obviously I haven't done a whole lot. I'm on like row 18 of a 86 row repeat. But so like the last 20 rows of that 86 row repeat are decreases for the crown. So so I've got like 40 rows, a little bit of 45 rows left of just straight pattern. And it's very enjoyable to knit with this yarn. This is the Bijou Basin Ranch skein that will be available as a giveaway. Not this specific skein, obviously, but the same colorway. This is in the Himalayan Summit yarn line, and I was confused about the colorway last week. It is Barbary. I think I'm saying that right. And it's just a beautiful, beautiful deep plum purple. It's so gorgeous. And this yarn is just heaven to knit with. It is 50% yak down and 50% super fine merino. So it is really, really, really soft, like butter. Y'all remember Coffee Talk with Linda Richmond? Oh, I loved Saturday Night Live during that era. Anyway, so I'm absolutely enjoying knitting with this. It does take some attention. Of course, you can't really just knit without paying attention to all of these cables, but I do love knitting cables, and I do plan on spending some time up here just knitting and listening to an audiobook. My other project that I'm supposed to be up here listening to an audiobook while I knit it is my pumpkin spice latte mitts, and yeah, those are still sitting over there, and I did add like 2 or 3 rows the other day, but that is about it. This one will take priority until I get it done, and I'm okay with that. It still hasn't quite gotten cold enough to need mittens, so I am okay with waiting a little bit longer. I am keeping my hat in my brand new bag that I just won from the Woolly Elephant podcast. They had a baby KAL, and Nikki, the daughter of Woolly Elephant, it's a mother and daughter team, Heather and Nikki. She sewed this, and it was one of the prizes for their baby KAL, and I won it, and I love it. It's a very nice bag, and it goes really well with my hat. So there is that. Now the rest that I have to show you is socks. I hope you guys don't mind. So I guess we'll start with the socks that I was working on last week, and that is my Hippo for Thanksgiving socks that I've done for Lolo Did It, and I have finished the first sock. I love this colorway. So this is Hippo for Thanksgiving, as I said, out of Lolo Did It's plush sock base, and I used a Sweetness Little Lolo for the heels, toes, and cuffs. That's the Sweetness colorway, and I think it complements this colorway very nicely. These are very much fun to knit. I really like the amount of speckles that this specific skein got. Sometimes they come with lots of speckles, and sometimes they come with less speckles, and I always like it with just this amount. It seems like it is the exact right amount. And so this one is completely done, and you can see all of my little markers. That's at every 10 rows, so I will use that to knit the second sock with. And speaking of the second sock, I have got it started, but I haven't gotten very far, just the toe. But at least it's started. The toe is, I was going to say the toe is the hardest part, but it's really not. The toes are very enjoyable to make, but what I have found is that if I don't have a sock cast on already, then I sometimes will put off knitting the sock. But if I cast on the toe, then I'm pretty much gonna get right to it. So there is that. That is whip number 1 with a hoe. Sock whip number 2 also has a hoe. And this one is my Desert Vista Dye Works December skein, December socks, which I am knitting for the Desert Vista Dye Works 3rd Annual Monthly Sock Club KAL. And for this month, if you're not familiar, the Desert Vista Dye Works 3rd Annual Monthly Sock Club KAL requires that you knit a pair of socks each month, starting and finishing within the month time period. And you knit it out of Desert Vista Dye Works yarn. Now, they do allow one pair of socks to be Franken socks or scrappy socks, knit out of just a mixture of Desert Vista Dye Works colorways. And so I opted to do that for my December socks. So here is the first sock. Isn't it awesome? I'm so excited. I went back and forth about which colorways I was going to use, and I went back and forth about whether or not I was going to make the socks match or not. Whether or not I was going to make the socks match or not. That was redundant. Sorry. So I chose not to make them match. The second sock won't look anything like this. It won't have any of these colorways in it. And I think it's going to be awesome. In fact, I enjoyed knitting this sock so much that I am giving serious thought to taking out some more of my leftover stripies and just making a bunch of these scrappy socks and just putting them all together, Wear whichever one with whichever one. They don't have to match. They don't have to go together. Just have a bunch of scrappy socks. I'm really kind of digging that idea. So don't be surprised if come next year you see me putting some of that stuff together, because I'm really kind of keen on it. And I have enough left over of these colorways to be able to add them to other socks as well and put them in different orders. So I'm just loving it. Just absolutely loving it. So the colorways that I put in this sock, up to here is Woody. This is from the Buzzin' Woody. They had each 50-gram skeins put together. And then from this purple to this tan is second helping, which is a pair of socks that I knit for Danny at Bobbin's Knits, and it's such a great colorway. It is one that I would probably buy again just so that I can make a pair of socks for myself. But it is nice to be able to have some of these scrappy socks. And you might notice that I did 2 color repeats of the Woody, and that was because it only had 4 colors stripes. I only did 1 color repeat of the second helping because, I was almost going to say the second coming, the second helping because it had 7 colors. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. And then this is Buzz, right here, to go with the Woody. And I did 2 color repeats of the 4. And then the last color is Frosted Peeps, which is a pair of socks that I made for my mom for Mother's Day, maybe? And so I added that to my socks. Now, I am not a big fan of pink, but I was okay with this because this yellow and this speckled bit are so cool. So yeah, I thought, well, you know what, I'm going to go ahead and have that in my sock. Plus, it's up in my pant leg, and nobody ever will really see it. I won't even see it. I'll see this pretty part on my foot. And then for the heel, I did a True Afterthought heel, and I did it out of Monopoly. And I will be doing Monopoly for the heel on the second sock as well, but I am going to be taking it from a different part of the skein, and so the stripes will be different. Monopoly is another one that is, like 7 or 8 colors. So you probably won't see any of these colors in the heel on the second sock. So this first sock is done, and I have woven in the ends and everything, and gosh, have I mentioned that I love this sock? I so love this sock. And I have started the second sock, but I haven't quite finished the toe, but I will go over the colorways that I'm going to put in it. First, the one that I'm working on the toe is Frederick, which was a pair of socks that I loved to death when I made them for myself. And then from Frederick, I am going into DVD logo. And then from that, I am going to go into Jan and Dean. And then I'm going to finish that sock off with emeralds, sapphires, and prints. And I do have a warning about this color specifically. One thing that I have found with Desert Vista Dye Works yarn, their colorways are amazing, and they have such a huge catalog of different colorways to choose from, and I love that they do that. But I have found that if there is blue or purple, and sometimes a dark green, it does run. So just be wary. So this is being blue and purple and green. It's all about running. I also have a problem with the blue and the dark blue in this color as well. So I will be careful when I wash these socks the first time to make sure that the blue and purple don't run all into the lighter colors of this first part. And then, of course, as I said, I will be using Monopoly for the heel on that. And so I expect that this pair will be done by next week for sure. I'm just really having just way too much fun knitting these socks. Just to give you an idea, I cast on this first sock Saturday night, and it's already done, you know. And it's not the only sock that I worked on, so it's just like you know how people talk about how fun it is knitting on stripy socks, because you're like, just let me get one more stripe done. Oh, let me just get one more stripe done. Well, with this one, I'm like, well, let me just finish this colorway and move on to the next. Oh, you know what? I'll just finish this colorway and then move on to the next one. And then, as I mentioned, I should say I'm keeping my Desert Vista Dye Works socks in my Whimsy Stitches bag. I love, love, love this bag. And I am keeping my Hippo for Thanksgiving socks in my Laughing Stitches kind of autumn-themed woods bag. And I love this bag as well so much. And then I have 2 more pairs of socks that I am keeping in Heidi Monkey box bags, which I haven't used in a long time, but they are Alice in Wonderland themed, and as you know, I love Alice in Wonderland. Heidi is a friend of mine. I haven't talked to her in a long time, but she's a friend of mine on Ravelry, and we worked at a swap or something, and she made me like 3 or 4 different box bags, and almost all of them, let me throw it, almost all of them were in Alice in Wonderland fabric, and I just love them. So in this green one is my Hippo for Christmas socks, and I have not done very much, but I did get them cast on. On Saturday I just cast on all of the socks. I have now got every single one of my ChiaoGoo red lace needles in service. I even had to get out one that I didn't like very much. One of them is not the red lace, just the regular ones, the ones that kind of have a curve in the needle at the bottom, and I straightened them as best as I could because I don't like that curve. But yeah, they're all in service. So this is Hippo for Christmas, and I've only got about 1 inch of the sock done, and the toe is being done out of shamrock in a little low. And then in the blue Alice in Wonderland bag, if you can't see, that's got all the cards in it, the card army. In the blue bag, I have Hippo for Hanukkah, and again, I've done the toe and just a little bit of the foot, and I'm knitting this out of Hippo for Hanukkah with an Elba Island low as the heels, toes, and cuffs. So those are started at least, and I will get onto them as soon as I possibly can. And then I have one more whip to show you, and that is also in an Alice in Wonderland bag. This is a Slip Stitch Studios bag, and I love this fabric as well. I love Alice in Wonderland. Not Disney. Not a big fan of the Disney Alice memorabilia, but I am a huge fan of anything else that is Alice themed, especially when they use the original art, the original illustrations, which this does. So in this bag, I have my December box of socks, and I have made quite a bit more progress on those. I have the foot just about done. In fact, I think I haven't measured it since I got home. This is the sock that I took to the doctor's. But I am pretty certain that I have enough to put in my stitch markers for the foot, or for the heel. As I am wont to do, I'm going to do a true afterthought heel on these, on my stripy socks. That's what I like the best. And so, I am loving. And I am knitting this out of A Million Stars in her Penelope base, which is an 80-20 merino blend, and the colorway is turned right round. And I just love it. Just love, 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 love it. So, expect probably to see Hippo for Thanksgiving, my Desert Vista Dye Works, and these probably done by next week. And then I will hopefully have made some progress also on Hippo for Christmas and Hanukkah. And that's it. As I said, I have not cast on my I have not cast on my Comfort Fade. I will after I get some of these socks out of the way, and then I'm hoping to make some decent progress on my hat as well. But I think that's probably going to fill my time, which is too bad, because I was hoping to get another sweater done before the end of the year, if at all possible. I have knit 8 sweaters for 2017. This is the 8th one. Now that includes the 2 sweaters that I knit for my daughters. Does not include any baby sweaters. So I knit like 5 for myself, 1 for my mom, 5 for myself, 1 for my mom, and 2 for my girls. And I will probably, in early January, I will probably do like a statistics of what I knit in 2017. If you guys would like that, if it's something that you're interested in, then let me know and I can put that all together. But yeah, that is all of the whips that I have to show you, and I have no FOs besides the sweater, of course. And so I guess we'll go into haul, and I have a decent yarn haul, so this might take a while. All the yarn that I mentioned that I bought on Black Friday and Cyber Saturday Small Business Saturday and Cyber Monday, it all came. Like, all of it came. So I had expected it to take a little while, but it did not. So just sit down and relax, and let's go through the yarn. Okay, so first, this is a skein that I did not order for Black Friday or thereabouts. I actually ordered this a while back, but it was dyed to order, so it took a little time. And that is a skein of nomadic yarns. Now, I have been admiring nomadic yarns all year long. Don't play with the bag. And it's something that I wanted, and all of her colorways are so amazing, and so I really wanted to take advantage of it. So I happened to be looking, October, maybe? I think it was early October, yeah. And she had this colorway, which is Rhinebeck sweater weather, and it's about all the colors that make Christie's happy. There's a good brown in there. There is this beautiful deep red, the most beautiful burnt orange, a good teal, a good mustard yellow. Psst, stop it. And I was so in love with this colorway. So expect to see these socks knit up pretty soon in the next couple of months, because I can't wait to knit this up. It's so pretty. Look at how pretty that is. By the way, this is in her twisty sock, which is 400 yards, and it's an 80-20 merino blend, and it's just gorgeous. Another order that I made a while back, which was also dyed to order, just simply because she had gotten so much call for it, is a and it took a little extra time because it came from the UK, is a sock set that I heard about on Amy's podcast, Amy of Stranded. Amy has taken it upon herself to knit 25 pairs of socks, and she wants to be able to wear them. No, I'm sorry, not 25 pairs of socks. Well, but 25 pairs of Christmas socks. Let's get specific. And she wants to wear them from December 1st to December 25th, and I love that idea. And I am really fighting all of my my OCD. I want to complete a set. I want to complete a task. I want to have a whole group set of Christmas socks. That just makes my little heart sing. That kind of idea of having an advent of socks to wear for all of December. I'm fighting the just ridiculous desire to do that as well. Not only do I need to fight it because I don't have enough yarn that is Christmas themed. I think if I go through everything, I maybe have 5 colorways. That's it. I don't have anything else that's Christmas themed in my stash. At least I don't think so. So I would have to buy another 20 skeins of Christmas yarn, and I don't have the funds for that. But not only that, I just complained recently about how I felt too much pressure to have to knit already picked out skeins, and I wanted to be able to just kind of go with the mood. And that's one of the reasons why I'm not doing Desert Vista Dye Works sock club next year. So the idea of having to knit another, to knit 25 pairs of Christmas socks for next year, that's just it's just a recipe to make myself miserable. So I need to not do it. But I really want to. Such a glutton for punishment. Anyway, regardless of whether I managed to do that or not, I did really like this yarn, and I would have bought it anyway because it was just such a pretty colorway, and it's a sock set, kind of like the ones that Hand Dyed by Kate does, where you have a 50 gram of the main color and then a 20 gram of a contrasting heel, toe, and cuff skein. So you get 70 grams total, which is plenty to make a pair of socks, plus it's a little bit cheaper because you're only getting 70 grams. I really like it. I really wish that dyers would do these shorter put-ups sock sets more often. So I've dithered on long enough. Let's go ahead and talk about the yarn. So I got this from Giddy Yarn. Cat! I apologize for any noise you're hearing in the background. The cat is playing with her toys. So this is the Christmas stocking sock set, and it's got a variegated red and green with a little bit of white in there, and then a red heel, toe, and cuff skein. And as I said, this is 50 grams, and this is 20 grams, so it's 70 grams total. And I thought, you know what? This would be a great prize for the autumn accoutrements, especially since it's ending right around Christmas. It would be perfect to have as a prize. So I mentioned that to her when I made my order. I said, I'm buying one for myself and I'm buying one as a prize for my podcast. And she was so kind that she went ahead and sent the second one all wrapped up pretty. So I haven't unwrapped it, but rest assured that it looks exactly like this one. And she also sent a coupon code. So I'm going to put that down here because the paper which it's written on is way over there, and I can't get it, and I'm lazy. So anyway, the coupon code is good until December 31st. So get it in by the end of the year. Otherwise, it's gone. But yeah, I thought it was just a really nice thing for her to do. She didn't have to do that, and I was very impressed. So she is a UK-based dyer, so just know that shipping's going to take a little time, but I think that it is worth the wait. I'm very excited to knit this. I wish that I didn't have 5 other pairs of socks that I had to knit this month, because I would knit these. But, you know me. I could possibly knit them in February and I would still wear them. Okay, so next I made an order from Knit Picks. I don't order from Knit Picks very often. I'm not the biggest fan of their yarn. I love their price point, but I haven't really found a lot of their yarn that I'm in love with, especially their sock yarn. And so normally when I'm going to buy something, I'm going to buy it in a sweater's quantity, and I don't buy sweater quantities of yarn very often, just simply because of how much it costs. That being said, they had some of their Felice yarn on sale. I think it's colors that they're closing out. They were like $3.50 a ball, and I said, all right. Like Knit Picks twisted my arm. So I got a single ball of Spring Blooms, which is just beautiful blues and greens and a little pink in there. And I got a single ball because I could either knit this into a pair of socks for my daughters, or I could knit it into kind of shorty socks for myself for summer. I don't need more than 50 grams. In fact, I don't. If I have a heel, toe, and cuff skein, I can get away with 30 grams of a main color with which to make a pair of socks for myself. So I'm going to do that. And then I also got a single skein of Sonora Sunset, which is blues and oranges and some pink. They put pink in a lot of Felice, which is really sad, in my opinion. I'm not a big fan of pink, but... And then I got 2 skeins of this one, and this is Candy Shop. And I just kind of like the fact that there was a lot of just different colors in here. Green and blue and orange and pink and yellow and white. And I was looking at some finished objects with this colorway, and I kind of liked the look of those socks. So I figured I'd make a good full-size pair for myself out of this one day. I don't have any plans for those, that kind of, kind of commercial yarns. They just kind of get knit whenever. But I have them, and it did not cost me very much. As I said, I think it was like $3.46 a skein. Okay. Next, I have so much more yarn to show you. Next, I ordered from Carrie at the Creative Obsession. She was having a sale for Small Business Saturday, and I did not want to miss out on that opportunity. So I ordered this one-of-a-kind skein, and golly, it's pretty, isn't it? It's like this really nice purple. I don't even know what kind of purple you would call that, but it's such a pretty tone of purple, and then it's got some blue just mixed in there. I love it. I think it's going to make a gorgeous pair of socks. And Carrie is so generous. She sent along a skein as a gift. She didn't have to, but golly, I appreciate it, and it's so beautiful. And in her note, she said, "I think this would make a good hat for one of your daughters," and she's totally right. This is exactly the kind of colorway for a Delaney Lou. This is her worsted base, which is comfy worsted. It's 218 yards, 100% superwash merino, and the colorway is Fairy Wings. And Delaney's favorite colors are blue and purple, and so this is blue and with purple specks. And the girls need hats for the winter now. And so I will make Delaney a hat probably in January using this skein. It is absolutely gorgeous. I absolutely love it. Thank you so much, Carrie, for this. And then I just got this in today's mail, and if you are a member of the Knitterly Things Rainbow of the Month Club, and you have not gotten your skein yet, I would look away because I'm sure that everybody is just getting them over the next day or two. But I got my November colorway, and it is perfect. I'm not going to say anything in case you're looking away, but I love, 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 love it so much. It's so pretty. And you know me, so you know why I love it. Oh my goodness, I kind of gasped when I opened it just a little bit before I podcasted. So pretty. Oh, such a good job. I'm kind of sad that this is ending. You can look now, by the way. I'm kind of sad that this Rainbow of the Month Club is ending. This has been one of the best sock clubs I've ever been in. Not that I've been in a whole lot, but it has been very enjoyable. Next, I have my Advent minis that I've gotten so far. Today's December 5th, so I've opened 5. And if you recall, my Advent is cut from Adelaide Cottage, which is an indie dyer that I hadn't really owned before, but I liked what I saw of her colorways in her shop and on Ravelry, and what I've seen in other podcasts, and so I was looking forward to this one, and I have not been let down so far. The first one that I opened, was this beautiful. These are all 10 gram minis. This is Winter Spice, and she included a Winter Spice twinnings? I don't know how you pronounce that. Tea bag. So I love this colorway. It's got speckles, and it's just beautiful. Day number 2, she showed her ability for a pun, because she named this colorway the Aurora Borealis instead of Aurora Borealis. And it came with a little candy cane progress keeper as well. And even though this is rather pink, I think it's going to look very good in a blanket, which is what I'm planning on using most of these for anyway. I could also, by the way, use this as heels, toes, and cuffs for a pair of socks for my mom, who does like pink quite a lot, since it's mostly tonal. Let's see, what was next? That was today. Oh yeah. Next was Partridge in a Pear Tree, which is a beautiful orange. You all know how I feel about orange, so I'm very happy about this one. Then for the 4th, I got Hot Cocoa, which is just a beautiful brown tonal. I will probably use this for heels, toes, and cuffs on a pair of socks. And she included a little package of Hot Cocoa, which is awesome. And then today I got Cozy Cardi. And this is like kind of a tonal tan. It's also got some, like a pinkish kind of just vibe to it, but like a rose. It's not a bad pink. And this, I didn't mention any of the bases. This is on her golden twinkle base. So it's got gold stellina in it. The Partridge in a Pear Tree is also in her golden twinkle base. Winter Spice is in her MCN base, and Aurora Borealis is in her Toasty Sock base. And then Hot Cocoa is in her tweed base, the Stratford tweed. So I don't know if you can tell, but there's little flecks of brown and kind of natural colored tweed in there. So that is my my Advent so far, and I am really, really enjoying it. It is so much fun to get up every morning and open up a new bag. Okay, I have one more shop stash to show you. If you recall, I knit a rather large shawl for Hugh Loco a little while back, right before Rhinebeck, and it was a commission job, and she paid me in yarn from her shop, so she basically gave me a gift card to her shop, and I've been waiting a long time to pick the perfect yarn for it. I knew I wanted a sweater's quantity, as I don't often have enough, extra funds to be able to buy a sweater's quantity of yarn, and so I figured this would be a good opportunity. And so then it was just about finding the exact right color. I originally was going to go with Mustard Party, which is just a really pretty kind of green, variegated with, different shades of green in it, but there wasn't enough. And so, since I had already knit with this color, when I knit it in her shawl, I already knew that I loved it. I loved it the entire time that I was working with it. I went ahead and got Sucker Punch. So I'm going to make myself a very loud, bright green sweater eventually. I'm not sure what pattern I'm going to use. I will probably do a flax light or something like that. Just a basic stockinette fingering weight sweater. I love this colorway. This is Sucker Punch, as I said, and this is in her Phyllis sock base, which is a 75-25 merino blend. And then I also had a little bit of leftover, so I got 2 skeins of Outer Space Love, which is a gray, and it has lots of different colors in it. Purple and orange. There's a little bit of pink. There's some blue. There's some green. And I'm going to use these 2 skeins in something that needs to be paired with something else, like maybe sock arms. That pattern that I just saw recently. I'm so excited about that. I could use this as the base as the body for that. So anyway, but I am going to use it for something. I didn't have enough money. I didn't have enough of the gift card to get any more than 2 skeins, but I think that I can pair 2 skeins with something else to make a really cool sweater. Okay, so that is all of the yarny goodness to go into this podcast. I am sorry that my haul was so big. I don't normally buy all that much yarn at once, but there you go. So if you are just here for the yarn, that is the end. I'm now going to go into the books. So if you're not interested in books, then have a wonderful day, and thanks for tuning in. Last week I mentioned that I was almost done with this book. I finished it that day. It was awesome. I loved it. I really like his sense of humor, and I'm looking forward to reading that other series of his that I have, the Love Story series. And then I was also working on these 2 books. The Wrath and the Dawn, I think I was most of the way through this book, and then I was going to pick up The Rose and the Dagger. These are both by Renee Ahdieh. And I mentioned last week that one of the reasons why I picked them up is because they were such beautiful books, and they are such beautiful books. I listened to both of these on audio that I borrowed from the library, and I have to say that is the worst way that I could have read these. The narrator did not do a good job. She did not. These are set in the Corazon, and so you need to have an accent to be able to at least say the words, because it uses a lot of words from that area and that era. And she never said any of them with the proper accent. She said them as if I were to say them as an American, and it just detracted from the story. Plus, she did not give a lot of emotion to any of the characters. I just really wasn't impressed with the way that she did it. And so it kind of brought down my enjoyment of the books. Now, you might ask, well, Christy, if you didn't like the audio for the first book, why did you listen to the audio for the second book? Well, that's where I have slight OCD tendencies, and if I start a series in one format, I need to finish it in that format. So, since I listened to the first book, I had to listen to the second book. However, what I'm thinking I'm going to do, I'm going to hold on to these for more reason than just because they're really pretty books. But I think that in a year or two, I will probably revisit this duology and reread it. These will be quick reads. They're not overly large, and there's short chapters, and those always seem to go faster. And I think that if I read it in physical form like this in a couple of years, I will get more out of it. So the stories were good. I just really think that the narrator detracted from the beauty of the stories a lot. I would recommend this duology, I just would not recommend it on audio. Next, I picked up The Afterlife of Holly Chase, and this is by Cynthia Hand. And I'm nearly done with it. I've got about 100 pages left. It's a fairly quick read, fairly easy. It's okay. It's a cute, Christmas-themed contemporary romance. I like the premise of it, and I like, it's about Holly who, like Ebenezer Scrooge, was met one night by the ghosts of Christmas past, present, and future. But unlike Scrooge, she did not change her ways. She did not wake up in the morning with the epiphany that she needed to change her life to make it better. And she didn't. And a week later, she died. And instead of, going on to wherever this world's afterlife is, she ends up coming to become the ghost of Christmas past. And has to do that kind of as her penance. And so she's been doing that for 5 years, stuck in the same body that she died in, basically. And they have now got a new Scrooge. She found out that there's this group that call themselves Project Scrooge, and they're all over the world. There's like one in each major country. And they do this every year. They have previously alive people who play the three ghosts, and they set up monitoring, surveillance, and they pick a Scrooge each year and spend the entire year finding out about him or her to find out the important information so that they can come to this person on Christmas Eve night and basically go through the whole thing as the original ghosts did with Ebenezer Scrooge. And this year the Scrooge is another 17-year-old, and it's a boy. And Holly is drawn to him, and she feels drawn to him not only because he's an attractive young man about her age, but also because it's rare that Scrooges are young, and she kind of wants him to kind of learn from... She doesn't want him to make the same errors that she's made. However, she can't tell him, I'm the ghost of Christmas past, and here's what's going to happen to you on Christmas Eve night. So she's kind of doing this double life type of thing. It's an okay story. It's a cute premise. The story's enjoyable. It's probably going to get like 3.5 stars from me. I'm glad that I'm reading it, but it's not blowing my mind. But it's cute. If you like something lighthearted for the Christmas season, it wouldn't be a bad one to go with. And then lastly, I am reading Wink Poppy Midnight by April Genevieve Tucholke. This is a book that came out last year, I believe. And I was very drawn to the cover. I was drawn to the title. And I heard a lot about it on BookTube, but it got all this hype, and then everybody bashed it afterwards. And I got it on a super deal. It was a scratch and dent book from Book Outlet. The dust jacket has a hole in it. I don't know if you can see it right there. Like they opened the box and they sliced through the dust jacket. So I got it super cheap, and I was like, well, you know what, for $2, I can read it, Well, it happened to be available through my library, and whereas the narrator of this book totally detracted from the story and made the story less enjoyable, I think that the narrators, there are 3 because it's told from 3 different points of view, the points of view of Wink, Poppy, and Midnight, they are really adding to the experience, and I'm kind of enjoying it. I started it today, and as I said, I had to go to the doctor, and I ran a bunch of errands, and I'm halfway through already. It's a very quick book, easy to read. It's got very short chapters. Some of them, because it goes back and forth between the 3 characters, it's some of them are only like a page or 2 long. And then it is leading up to some kind of mystery of some sort. You don't know exactly where it's going, but there's kind of some hints that maybe some bad stuff might be happening. So So yeah, I'm kind of enjoying it. Again, it's not blowing my mind, but it is. I guess maybe it's one of those things where you go in expecting a book to suck, and if it doesn't just totally suck, you're like, oh, that was all right. Whereas if you go into expecting a book to be awesome, and it's just not totally awesome, you're like, oh, that was kind of a letdown. Even though it was a good book, it's still kind of a letdown because it wasn't as awesome as you thought it was going to be. I thought this was going to be a terrible book. So because it's not terrible, it's just okay, I'm kind of enjoying it, if that makes sense. So anyway, I should finish this maybe even today. It depends on how much time I have. So yeah, there you go. I don't know exactly what I'm going to read next. Well, I do have... 2 years ago, I read this book. This is Dash and Lily's Book of Dares, and it's written by David Levithan and Rachel Cohn. And they have come together to collaborate and have written 5 books. Four books. 4 books, and they have a 5th one coming. And so I think their most famous one is Nick and Nora's Infinite Playlist, which was made into a movie a couple of years back, 2013, 2014. And then they also wrote, which I should say Nick and Nora's I gave 4 stars. They also wrote Naomi and Eli's No Kiss List. This is my least favorite of all of their books, both written together and separately. I did not enjoy this very much. But what they do is David Levithan writes the male character, and then Rachel Cohn writes the female character. So for Nick and Nora's, David wrote Nick and Rachel wrote Nora. For Naomi and Eli, Rachel wrote Naomi, David wrote Eli, and then Dash and Lily's, he wrote Dash and she wrote Lily. And this is set in New York. Gosh, it's been a long time since I read it. One of them leaves a book in a used bookstore or a library with a note in it, and the other one sees the note and responds to it, and they start going back and forth through this book, and then they dare each other to do things. And it's just a really cute rom-com book. I enjoyed it. It's the one that I liked the most out of the entire collaboration series that they've written so far. And last Christmas they came out with kind of a companion, I don't know if it's a sequel, but it's a companion to this, Dash and Lily's, called The 12 Days of Dash and Lily, and it's a Christmas-themed book. And so I am going to reread Dash and Lily's Book of Dares and then read 12 Days of Dash and Lily, because I haven't read this one yet, and now it's December, and so I need to read them. So expect to see my thoughts on these next week. And I don't know what I'm going to read for an audiobook next. I'm still kind of thinking about it. I hadn't expected to get through Wink, Poppy, Midnight so quickly. But I may see if there's a... I might pick up The Outsiders, which I realize isn't a holiday book at all, but Tatum is reading The Outsiders for school. And it's a book that I've never read, and it's a quick book. So I've thought about reading it so that we could talk about it, we could watch the movie together. I find that it helps with her desire to read if she knows that she can talk to me about the stories. So, I don't know, maybe. I might read that one. But yeah, anyway, I think that is it. My throat is kind of dry. So I am going to go ahead and sign off now. I gotta clean up all my mess and put all my yarn away. I guess there could be worse problems, right? Anyway, I hope you have a wonderful rest of your Tuesday. I am going to go to knit night tonight because it's nobody's birthday this Tuesday, and I'm looking forward to it. I haven't been there for 2 weeks. It's been a long break, and I'm looking forward to going back. So I will talk to you guys next week. Have a wonderful rest of your Tuesday, and happy knitting.